Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. In the series of planets in houses and planets in signs, we have done all the planets in different houses and also in different signs. However, I also do a special series of those houses where specific planets do better and those houses where planets not do so very well, and I do these as separate series. So for example, I would give you best placements of Rahu, of Jupiter, of Mars in certain houses, and then I would also give you the tougher placements of these planets in other houses as two separate videos. In that light, today we will be doing the final planet in the series of the best placements of planets in certain houses. So we are going to talk about Ketu in those houses where we find Ketu to give better results than the other houses. Now when we talk about Ketu, it is difficult to talk about Ketu as giving only excellent results in certain house. The reason being is Ketu is a planet of negation, detachment, taking you away from the results of the house that it is placed in, the sign that it is placed in, the planet with which it is placed, and even the aspect of Ketu is not so very positive. So to talk only about positive attributes of Ketu or results of Ketu in a certain house will be very difficult without keeping in mind that the detachment tendency of Ketu will also play. And hence, when I talk about the best placements of Ketu in certain houses, it is comparative where Ketu gives better placements in certain houses compared to the others. However, the detachment tendency of Ketu will still be there because Ketu is a dhwaja, a flag, which you have already put in certain areas of your life in your earlier innings, and so in the current innings you will not get the best fruits of that particular house or that particular sign. So expecting that I will get the best results of a certain house because Ketu is placed there will not be right unless you keep in mind that the other part of Ketu, detachment, taking you away, negating results of Ketu part will also come in. So keeping that in mind, I will be talking about those houses where Ketu gives you comparatively better results than those houses where Ketu does not give that good results. But before we proceed, a request to you that if you are new to my channel or if you are a regular to my channel but you have not subscribed to my channel yet, but if you find this video to be engaging, entertaining, value adding and answers some queries of yours, answers some questions of yours and helps you understand certain attributes, certain results of your life, and if you think my channel also helps others, then if you think that this helps you, then you can also help YouTube promote these channel, promote these videos to other people so that they can also benefit from it, and from that you earn some good karma. So please don't shun good karma, make use of good karma by just liking this video, sharing this video, and please subscribe to my channel. Now coming to Ketu place in those houses where it gives you the best results. So I'm jumping straight away to the third house. Third house is a house where Ketu gives better results than some of the other houses. Why do I say Ketu gives better results in the third house? Firstly, third house is not a Kendra house where you get great goodies from, great blessings from. Third house is the house where you need to put in a lot of effort to get results of that. So Ketu, when it is placed in the third house, it in fact reduces the effort that you need to put in and extra effort that you need to put in to get results. So if you are doing smart work in a certain area rather than slogging, but if you are working smartly in an area, knowing what to do, what not to do, then you expect better results out of it rather than just slogging without thinking, which probably Rahu may give you. The other thing Ketu does is it negates you from putting extra effort in influencing others, in reaching out to others, in how you communicate with others. So here Ketu makes you smart enough to understand that you can do away with being too verbose. So here usually Ketu gives you a tendency that you are able to say enough that is needed to be spoken with less words. Sometimes you may not need to talk a lot. Sometimes because you have good equation with people, they understand you even with few words, even sometimes with a glance. And so this is a good placement because Ketu stops you from putting in extra hard effort without getting the fruits of your labor, makes you work smartly, and also helps you influence others through lesser words rather than being too verbose. However, if you want to earn out of this house through communication, through social media, then you have to have a tendency where you should not look at a material perspective of what I gain from it, but should look at it as I am using this or the areas of this house to do better for others. So when you think of others more than yourself, when Ketu is placed in the third house, then you will find over a period of time your communication becomes sharp, because Ketu is a deity who may not have a head, but it has a sharp weapon in its hand. So it cuts you off with a sharp weapon, but also gives you sharpness of the attributes of the house where it is placed. So Ketu in the third house will help you become more sharp in your communication, more sharp in your thought, more sharp in where you put in your effort. Whether you get good results or not, but at least it will make you a smart worker. If you're not getting great results out of a certain place, then you will not put extra effort. Sometimes people may even think that you're lazy because Ketu is placed in the third house, yet you're smart enough to know where to work and where not to work, what to say and what not to say, where to focus your attention and what not to, where not to focus your attention. Yeah, also if you're doing something of your own, where you are doing self-enterprise, again, if you think of the larger perspective, larger audiences, society at large, then Ketu gives you much better results in the third house than in any other houses. Ketu in the sixth house. Ketu generally does very well in the Dusthanas like other malefics also do. But Ketu in the sixth house is a very special placement. Why is it? Because the sixth house is the house of service, serving others. What does Ketu tell you? Ketu tells you that don't focus your attention on yourself. Ketu to a large extent is the opposite energy of Rahu. Rahu is the greed. Ketu is giving up, giving off for others. So Ketu in the sixth house is also better placement where you are ready to give off for others, do more for others, serve others, and through that attain the fruits of your labor. And it also protects you from unnecessary animosity, unnecessary inimical forces working behind your back. Even if they do, you are not too wary of them, you don't even pay attention to them. Sometimes you may not be even aware of them. So many times what happens, people may be inimical to you, people may be acting behind your back, but they see that you are harmless, you don't pay attention. Sometimes you don't even care when people are talking behind your back, even it comes to your notice, or you don't say too much, you don't get too much into those wars, those animosity ridden exchanges. You keep to yourself most of the time and you don't involve yourself in that. So over a period of time, those negative forces also either give up or they feel you are not shaken, you don't get affected. So anyways, what's the point? So that is the perspective Ketu brings in. Third, Ketu also stops unnecessary litigations, court cases, and the good thing about Ketu in the sixth house is also it doesn't keep you away from relationships. The sixth house is the 12th house to the 7th house, so it is the house of loss of relationship. So Ketu gives you loss of relationship, which means prevents loss of relationship. So Ketu here makes you not so wary about challenges of the other person, and so even if there are bigger challenges, bigger issues, you don't think too much about breaking off, either drop off a hat or don't become hysterical, this doesn't serve me or that doesn't serve you. Even if the breakup happens, generally it is initiated because of the other person or pushed by the other person or forced upon you, where the decision has to be taken, there is no room out for you. So here Ketu prevents you from unnecessary animosity, unnecessary challenges, unnecessary inimical exchanges, making unnecessary enemies, helps you serve with a serving heart, doing more for others, and helps you reduce the karmic debt, because the sixth house is also the Bhrigu Bhava, and that's why Ketu does very well in the sixth house from a service perspective. And so this is a placement of slow development, but surely you get higher rewards, spiritual rewards also in the long run with Ketu in the sixth house. A special placement surely with the Ketu in the sixth house for you. Ketu in the 8th house is also very good placement because Ketu does very well in the moksha bhavas. Ketu is a planet of giving up. Ketu wants to move away from anywhere you are bringing in material perspective, wanting more. And Ketu brings in a more spiritual approach where you don't think too much about the material aspects, you look at the deeper aspects of life. What else can be more deep than the 8th house? Nobody can fathom the depth of the 8th house. So Ketu, when it goes into the 8th house, it makes you think, not for self benefit, which a Rahu may do in the 8th house. Rahu may make you find more interest in the occult, but also to know more about it for yourself. So if Rahu is in the 8th house, you may find an interest in the occult, but also you may want to know, my sun is in this house, what does this mean for me? My Venus is in that house, what does it mean for me? Will I get the money? Will I get the girl? So you may think that way. Ketu in the 8th house may make you think deeply, but more at a spiritual level. You want the higher, bigger questions of life answered. Existence, why do things happen this way? Why do challenges happen? Why are certain things which happen in life not easily understood? So you want to go deeper into understanding life itself, because 8th house is the house of life. It is an Ayusthan. So Ketu makes you think deeper here. Also, it helps you keep away from sudden issues, sudden obstacles, sudden challenges, sudden events. So to a large extent you are saved also from them. Or even if some sudden events happen to you, they may not be able to shake you up much. You will be able to regain your composure very soon, your alertness very soon, and the harm may also be much less than, say for example, if Mars goes into the 8th house, or even if Sun goes into the 8th house, for example. So Ketu here to a large extent stops losses for you, especially sudden losses, sudden obstacles, sudden issues also. And if at all you have some challenges of some ailment, sudden ailment also, Ketu gives you the wherewithal to be able to face it with more strength, more spiritual strength, which comes directly from the soul, and you are able to take it much better than if Ketu was in some other house. So Ketu in the 8th house makes you more a deep thinker, keeps you away from all the challenges or most of the challenges, even from government bodies or government authorities. You may not make too much gains out of other people's money here, but it also helps you keep away from the greed, unnecessary greed, or keeping your focus on other people's money and spoiling what you have and not being grateful for that. So a more spiritual placement, because 8th house is also the moksha bhava. Because you are able to answer the deeper questions of life, you also are able to elevate your soul, or at least move towards elevation of your soul, and indulge in those acts which may help you and your soul to be able to elevate higher. Then Ketu in the 12th house. Now most of the votes that the poll got was for Ketu in the 12th house. In fact, 2/3 or more of the votes went for Ketu in the 12th house. Now this is a slightly tricky placement to understand. In general, I agree that Ketu in the 12th house is a better placement than in all the other houses or most of the other houses. But why is Ketu best in the 12th house? Not just because it is the house of spirituality, it gives you moksha or it promises you moksha. Nothing like it. I haven't met anybody yet who has Ketu in the 12th house, and I'm sure, absolutely guarantee that person has got moksha, and I can see that person in the moksha situation. I must have heard that this gives you that, and this person may have got moksha, but we don't know. So it's certainly because of being mentioned in the books, it may give you a better situation or better crack at moksha itself. But for that you also need to be very spiritual for Ketu to be able to give you moksha. If Ketu in the 12th house, the whole life has to be a life of looking at salvation, wanting salvation without greed for salvation. So your focus on life is to do more for others, and your whole life is dedicated to do more for others. And only when you have very spiritual perspective of life, you are very grateful. Even in the most trying of circumstances, you are very grateful. You find some cloud with a shining lining even in the most dire circumstances, and you're always thinking of others. Then Ketu surely helps you to be able to elevate your soul spiritually higher. In this placement may not necessarily be moksha all the time. Second, Ketu prevents unnecessary expenses, higher expenses also here. But if at all you have this sudden bout that you have spent some money which may have not been required, you regain your composure very soon. You immediately realize I shouldn't have done that, and then you keep a tight lid on the purse strings, much tighter, and you keep it more under control. So usually those bouts of over the top expenses, wanting a great quality of life and splurging money may not come with you have Ketu in the 12th house. You are more in control of the money most of the time than the others, and if at all you spend money, it is more for those areas which you feel are necessary. The other thing Ketu also does is it keeps you away from a lot of vices of the 12th house. Also keeps you away from those enemies, hidden enemies who may actually want to do severe damage to you. It just takes away their interest. Or even if you have those people who may not want very good things to happen to you, they may be very few. You may be able to count them on your fingers. And Ketu keeps you away also from challenges of the 12th house, unnecessary visits to the hospitals, being hospitalized for months on together. It keeps you away from it. And many times even when you like solitude, you may not be left alone here, because the 12th house is the house of solitude. Many times Ketu in the 12th house wants you to want to have your own quiet place where you want to sit quietly, but usually people don't leave you alone when you have Ketu in the 12th house. Something or the other keeps happening. Somebody is around you all the time who wants to take away your peace of mind and not let you alone. This is also good placement of going to foreign lands and doing well if you don't want to go to foreign lands only for greed, that I want to earn a lot of money, but you're going to foreign lands because you feel you have a better life. And even with Ketu in the 12th house, many times the roots are not cut off completely from your native place or where you're born or the place of your birth. There are some roots which are always connected, and you will find that with Ketu in the 12th house, you also have the spiritual perspective of life. You always want to give back, and usually I find that with Ketu in the 12th house, this is the best placement to do more for society, more for others, leave a strong legacy behind, leave your example behind, but doing more in terms of giving money or donations or charity. This is one of the best placements. It stops you from giving unnecessary donations and unnecessary charity where it is not required. It makes you more intelligent how you serve others, how you donate to others, how you look at spirituality, and makes you more conservative about spirituality from a material perspective. A lot of people have more of a show of spirituality rather than being spiritual themselves. So overall, one of the best placements of Ketu is in the 12th house. So friend, now that we have talked about Ketu in those houses which I feel are better houses for you compared to the others, please find which houses Ketu is present in your horoscope. Also find what doshas it is in. Is it eclipsing some other planets? What planets aspect it? What planets or houses Ketu aspects? And in the light of overall placements, then decipher what Ketu's placement in those houses mean for you. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me at the links given below. Till some other time with some other video, this is your friend, astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.